Welcome back to Zen in the Kitchen with Renee. Hi, we're going to make bread and butter pickles. So the first thing I want you to do is gather your ingredients. Obviously, get yourself some cucumbers, garden fresh or from the store. All right, decide how many cucumbers you want and we'll go from there. Gather up your ingredients and have them readily available. Start with your apple cider vinegar and your regular vinegar. I like to mix some white wine vinegar and regular vinegar. Then get your spices, turmeric, celery seed, and yellow mustard seed. Get your kosher salt, canning pickling salt. I like to add pimentos. That's a great addition. And your brown sugar and your white sugar. I always like to use organic. Get a sweet onion and then gather your tools that you need. Your chopping board, your knife, and a nice little fun device to make the shapes of your chips. Your measuring cups, your measuring bowls, and gather all those things together. Your big dishes so you can refrigerate your items. Slicing up your cucumber. It's really fun to have this design so you have that really nice, pretty chip. Then you serve and eat your cucumbers. So our garden this year grew some really big cucumbers, huge. So we're just gonna have some big old pickles. All right, so I'm gonna use this, make slices. It does have its challenges. So our goal is to cut up our cucumber slices, and I'm going to keep cutting up all these cucumbers here so that I can make about 5 to 6 cups of cucumbers. I'm going to cut the edges off, kind of discard those, but I actually am going to save them for our chickens. They like to eat our cucumbers. They think they're their cucumbers. We would actually have a lot more cucumbers if it wasn't for our chickens. I love the shape of the chips. You know, I say to each his own with the thickness slice. It's your preference. So some of mine are thinner, some are thicker. It's just to each his own. So we grew these very unique looking cucumbers. They actually got a lot bigger than this one here. They're huge. And so I'm going to cut it open to see what it looks like inside because I want to use these also when I make the pickles. So I'm going to take the end off. Smelling it smells like a cucumber. Interesting. I'm going to cut it in half. See? Looks like a cucumber. Smells like a cucumber. I'm going to turn on its side so you can see. And I'm going to work the slices. Very big cucumbers. Interesting to see how they're going to turn out in the pickles that we're going to make. All right, so now that I have my bowl of sliced chips, the cucumbers, I'm gonna add the canning and pickling salt, which is kosher salt. And I'm gonna go ahead and put 1 3/4 teaspoons of salt in this bowl. And the reason I'm using 1 3/4 is because I have about 6 cups, maybe a little more anyway, so I'm just kind of eyeballing it, and that's just kind of what I do. So there we go. There's 1, and then I'm gonna add a little bit more. And then once I'm here, I'm gonna just go ahead and toss that around to cover them all. And once I'm done, I'm gonna cover this with plastic wrap, put it in the refrigerator for about 1.5 hours. Let them get really cold and crisp. And then once out, I'm gonna rinse all the salt off. Cover the cucumbers with plastic wrap and then place in the refrigerator for about 1.5 hours to get cool and crisp. Then take them out, rinse them off, completely wash off all the salt, and then place them back in the bowl. Grab your sweet onion and slice it up. 1 cup of thinly sliced onion, and go ahead and place that in your pan that's on the stove. Add your white sugar, your 1 cup of white sugar. Add your white vinegar. Add your apple cider vinegar. Add your brown sugar. Add your spices, your mustard seeds, your celery seeds. Add your turmeric. Go ahead and place that in the pot on the stove. Put everything all together, and don't forget the pimentos. Add your pimentos and go ahead and simmer over the stove over medium heat. All right, now that the cucumbers have been washed free of salt, I have put all the ingredients in the pot and I have simmered it over medium heat and just stirring it just enough until everything is dissolved. Of course, I added my pimentos. I like to have that in the pickles. I love pimentos. So now I'm just gonna pour the mixture over the cucumbers. And I'm gonna stir this around just a little bit, and I'm gonna let this sit until it is at room temperature for 1 hour, and then I will place it in the refrigerator for it to cool for 24 hours. It smells really good, and look how pretty the color is. The juice is really pretty. The vinegar, sugar mixture, turmeric. Even the pimentos, I love adding the color, a little hint of flavor. The sliced onions are very pretty in their little yellow caramel color. And I'm just gonna let this sit until it gets to room temperature for about made 4 jars of bread and butter pickles. These are pretty big jars of pickles. Pretty sure I'm going to give some of this away. I know people who love them like we do. But without the canning, this will stay good in the refrigerator for up to 2 weeks with an airtight lid. The smell is amazing, the color is beautiful, and they're gonna marinate overnight. They're gonna sit for 24 hours in this juice, and then you can start enjoying them. Bon appetit.